On the highway, getting stopped. Okay, he's got him stopped and then.
April 10th, 2020 began like any other quiet morning in Sebastian County until a black pickup came tearing through red lights as if the rules of the road were optional. Behind the wheel was Justin Battenfield, driving with the kind of recklessness that made every other driver's heart race for the wrong reasons. Deputies had already tried to rein him in, but he kept pushing forward, ignoring sirens and flashing lights. That's when the Arkansas State Police were called in, and one trooper would soon find himself at the center of a chase no one would forget.
I'm gonna get the leg up.
When the threat to the public became undeniable, the command was clear: end it now, and the next action forced the chase into rougher territory.
You're going to stop out here, the brake taking you. Just slowly stop as soon as there's opening. Okay, he's got him on the highway, getting stopped. Okay, he's got him stopped and then go ahead and start EMS.
By the time the chaos stopped, Battenfield was gone, killed instantly at the scene. Trooper Ellis was taken to the hospital, treated for his injuries, and later sent home to recover. It was a pursuit that proved just how quickly speed and poor judgment can turn into irreversible loss. No matter how fast you think you are, there's always a wall you can't drive through. In the early hours of September 25th, 2022, a Savannah trooper clocked a gold Chevrolet Malibu flying through a residential area at twice the posted limit. The driver ignored every signal and ran multiple stop signs, continuing the dangerous flight through crowded streets. When the chase finally ended, troopers discovered the driver, 29-year-old Rashamel Howard, was a convicted felon and showed clear signs of intoxication. A handgun and holster were found among the debris, confirming he was illegally armed. Howard was treated at the hospital, medically cleared, and booked into the Chatham County Jail on multiple felony charges, including DUI, fleeing, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Most traffic stops end with a ticket and a warning, but on the night of February 3rd, 2025, one did not. Trooper Dylan Evans had just pulled over a Dodge Charger that was moving faster than the rest of traffic. At first, the driver, Brandon Williams, played along, acting as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Yet beneath that calm exterior lingered a plan that would turn a quiet roadside chat into chaos across the interstate. The wild run didn't earn Brandon Williams the escape he was banking on. Instead, it left him facing charges ranging from reckless driving to possession with intent to deliver, along with the discovery of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. In the end, the only thing faster than his Charger was the speed at which his luck ran out. The pursuit came to a violent end and Page paid the ultimate price. His car crashed down the embankment, sealing his fate. Authorities later underscored how reckless he had been, with Colonel Mike Hagar stressing that while the loss of life is always regrettable, the real relief was knowing that no officers or innocent drivers were harmed. In the end, Page's run proves one cold truth: no one outruns accountability forever. On July the 12th, 2023, Interstate 40 in Arkansas became the stage for something far more chaotic than the usual evening traffic. A St. Francis County deputy had already locked onto two gray Teslas pushing way past the limit, and that call rippled quickly through law enforcement radios. As traffic thickened, an Arkansas State Police trooper tried to prepare a spike strip, only to realize the sheer speed of what was coming made that plan impossible. The chase was already writing its own rules, and the road ahead was about to prove it.
Yeah, wait. All right, CBI, successful 24, get it.
I got it, busted that tire. TBI. He hit 24's car. I rammed him.
The driver behind the wheel was later identified as Williams and his passenger as Taylor. Once the dust settled, officers recovered marijuana and digital scales, making it clear this trip was about more than just reckless driving. Williams racked up charges ranging from possession and reckless driving to aggravated assault and fleeing, while Taylor faced misdemeanor possession and paraphernalia charges. Turns out their flashy Tesla wasn't even theirs. Williams admitted he borrowed it through a cousin's Turo rental because he wasn't old enough to rent it himself. A high-speed joyride to Dallas for a birthday sounds fun in theory, but this one ended with a criminal record instead of candles. On January 29th, 2025, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper initiated a stop on a black Kia after observing a traffic violation in Polk County. But the driver had other plans. Instead of complying, the vehicle accelerated into oncoming lanes and a pursuit began through residential streets as multiple troopers joined the effort to stop the fleeing car.
Recovered, speed 52. You got your 51? Roll in on this. Rushing that car and stop crashing. So we're northbound Lake Howard going to pavement. You love winter haven, know also that we're near it. Hey Chris, I missed the turn, hold on. Speeds location? I don't know where I'm at. Yeah, well. 5011, could you advise the speed, location, traffic conditions?
On the evening of October 12, 2024, Bainbridge officers attempted to stop a Mercedes sedan for reckless driving and a tag violation. The driver refused to yield, weaving through neighborhoods at extreme speeds and nearly striking another patrol unit. When Georgia State Patrol joined the chase, the pursuit had already reached a point of no return.
Milepost 1, copy. Milepost 1, roll over, go ahead and send EMS.
1 clear on 56, roll over, send EMS.
On September 14, 2023, Trooper Dawson was cruising along Interstate 75 when a silver Ford Focus caught his eye. The car darted between lanes without a signal, clung too close to bumpers, and flew nearly 90 miles an hour in a zone posted at 55. To make matters worse, the license plate was shielded by a tinted cover, almost as if the driver wanted to stay invisible. What looked like routine traffic violations was about to spiral into something far more dangerous.
He's probably going to the Cleveland Avenue. He's coming in hot though for pickup. Nope, he's coming up on He took lane break. All right, 1050 overturn, start EMS. 1050 overturn, EMS please. 75 northbound, ramp to 166. Ramp to 166, I'm gonna shut it down.
By the time backup units reached the scene, there was nothing left to save. The driver had lost his life instantly, his flight ending in the worst possible way. It was yet another reminder that one split-second decision to run can erase every other choice that came before. November 26, 2023 should have been just another evening commute on Bells Ferry Road in Cherokee County, but for one silver Hyundai Santa Fe, it became a stage for reckless decisions. Behind the wheel sat 35-year-old Demetrius Xavier Rumpf, a man already wanted on multiple warrants and no stranger to bolting when police showed up. Instead of pulling over, he chose the one move that always turns a bad night into a disastrous one. He ran.
Clear about 65 now. Make it past Riverwalk. Take a Riverwalk here. Clear on taking Lee's Rock in this area. Going to the light. Clear on coming up to the right.
After that violent gamble, Rumpf tried his last trick, ditching the car and sprinting. But adrenaline only carries a fugitive so far, and a well-placed taser charge cut his escape short. He was quickly taken into custody, evaluated by paramedics, and booked into jail on a list of charges long enough to fill a page. At the end of the day, his flight only proved one thing: every bad choice eventually catches up, no matter how fast you run. Mid-morning on July 10th, 2025, Trooper Blaine Lucas of the Arkansas State Police spotted a blue motorcycle with two riders and no visible plate. When he turned around to initiate a stop, the passenger looked back and seemed to signal the driver to pull over. But instead, the driver, Michael Zuber III, chose the throttle over reason.
1037 Little Rock. Northbound through campground. It's a white male, black t-shirt, black shorts. If you would notify Cabot, see if they've got any units that can assist. Still northbound 55 past Liberty.
Northbound past Liberty, 55.
There was a white male jumped off around, wrecked out.
After tumbling into the ditch, Michael Zuber III was taken into custody while paramedics checked his injuries. troopers later discovered a meth pipe hidden on him, leading to multiple charges, felony fleeing DWI drugs and possession of paraphernalia, among the most serious. His passenger, Randy Weller Jr., cooperated fully and was released without charges. For Zuber, the only thing faster than his motorcycle was the chain of bad. October 28, 2022, a quiet evening in Georgia turned unpredictable when Trooper A. Matthews spotted a black sport bike tearing through a no-passing zone on Mockingbird Road. As the motorcycle thundered past, its modified exhaust echoing through the neighborhood, Matthews hit his lights and siren to stop the reckless rider. But instead of pulling over, the biker opened the throttle. The chase was on.
795 coming 1080, Mockingbird Road, towards Elmo. Black motorcycle, no 28, wrong side of the road, blacked out. Still north on Elmo, gonna turn into Mount Tabor, gonna turn into Mount Tabor Road.
We're on Mount Tabor Road, Mount Tabor Road, heading northbound.
Alright, I believe we passed up Mount Tabor. I don't know the name of this road right here, stand by. U-turn, U-turn.
Going U-turn.
Going back southbound.
Northbound, back southbound.
Alright, he's signaling, he's gonna stop, stand by.
Northbound signaling stop.
Get off of it! Get off! Get on the ground!
I got you.
Get on the ground!
Put the kickstand down. I'm putting the kickstand
Put the kickstand down and get on your face.
Alright, I got you.
476.
Roll over on your side, ma'am. Do you need an ambulance for anything?
No.
Man, you crazy riding like that. What's wrong with you?
Y'all ain't supposed to chase me at 100 miles an hour. That's against the law. I seen it over.
You know who you messing with?
I seen it.
Look at this, right? You know who you messing with?
You can't chase me over 100.
Yes,
still?
I can.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
I'll see in court.
What law is it, man?
It's on the computer on the Google. Georgia state law.
No, bud, you misinformed.
When the pursuit finally ended, the driver was identified as Brandon Ballew. Investigators discovered his license was suspended. He also had multiple active warrants and showed signs of drug impairment. Ballew was charged with fleeing and eluding law enforcement and driving under the influence of drugs, among others, a reckless decision that guaranteed far more trouble than a single traffic citation ever could. On Interstate 40 turned chaotic when a blue Yamaha sport bike flew past traffic at over 130 miles per hour. The rider weaved between cars, showing no tag and no fear. Troopers would later learn that the man behind the helmet, 23-year-old Donovan Cox, wasn't just any thrill seeker, but a legal analyst working for the Department of Human Services in Little Rock.
27's ahead of it.
Yeah, 430 southbound.
Hey, get on the ground! On the ground, now! On the ground!
In the end, the rider identified as 23-year-old Donovan Cox lost control and crashed after cutting through the grass to evade trooper caviness. Inside his backpack, officers found a loaded pistol and extra magazine. Ironically, the man who worked as a legal analyst now faces the legal consequences he once studied. It was the early hours of July 5th, 2023, when a Florida Highway Patrol trooper in Pinellas County clocked a speeding vehicle exceeding 100 miles per hour on Interstate 275. The driver ignored lights and sirens, turning the empty highway into a dangerous arena of flashing blue and white.
Light traffic. Clear weather conditions. Dry roadway. 90 miles an hour. Vehicle smoking. We're coming up with the crash. Comes like 24. Traffic vehicle smoking. That's 24. Working heavily. Mild traffic. Comes up 24. 50 miles an hour. That's 24 miles an hour. He's looking for the engine bay. 58 miles an hour. Come up at 24. Light traffic. Traffic 58 miles an hour. That's 24 open. Stand,
After a brief but intense pursuit, troopers stopped the vehicle and took the female driver into custody. She faces charges including felony fleeing, reckless driving, and driving without insurance. Despite the speeds involved, no major injuries occurred that night. February 1st, 2024, in Silver Springs, Florida, a Marion County deputy pulled up to what should have been a routine call. A woman had been reported for trying to snatch another driver's car keys, nothing unusual for law enforcement. But as the deputy stepped out, the situation flipped on its head. The very woman under suspicion suddenly lunged into his patrol car and sped off, leaving the deputy stunned and empty-handed. The wild chase that followed was nothing short of chaos.
It did so fast, she just got in my car, took off.
By the time the dust settled, the driver of the stolen cruiser and 2 innocent victims were pronounced dead, while another survivor clung to life in critical condition. What started as a brazen theft spiraled into one of the worst outcomes possible. It is the kind of story that reminds everyone one reckless act can carry a price no one should have to pay. It was the night of February 12, 2025, when 2 men suspected of pulling off an armed robbery in Kentucky found themselves crossing into Indiana. They weren't just carrying suspicion on their shoulders, they were behind the wheel of a stolen Ford F-150. Law enforcement already had their eyes peeled, waiting for the slightest glimpse. When the pickup finally rolled into view, the calm of a small-town parking lot shattered in an instant.
Lights up ahead of us. Northbound approaching 600 south. Lights ahead. Stop sticks on 600 south. Stop sticks on 600 south. 50, 1050. Stop sticks on 600 south. Stop sticks on 600 south. 1050, 1050. 1050.
The driver, later identified as 45-year-old Daniel York of Evansville, Indiana, tried to bolt on foot, but his run ended quickly in the hands of Austin police. The passenger, 62-year-old Everett Klein of Wheelersburg, Ohio, never made it that far. He was arrested at the scene. Both men faced a stack of charges from stolen property to reckless driving stacked on top of their existing warrants. Running may have seemed like the bold choice at the time, but all it really did was buy them a longer list of problems. On August 18, 2023, an armed carjacking suspect from Fort Lauderdale was spotted speeding northbound on the Florida Turnpike near Palm Beach County. Florida Highway Patrol troopers joined the pursuit after multiple agencies had been tracking the suspect's vehicle.
Smoking, I believe it's tired. Ten 661, 1066 here.
No, keep on going. Keep on out.
10 for arm right on him. Approaching TJ.
9-7, remind those units school zones. Remind them school zones. If the helicopter's above, back off.
Alright. Keep it speedy, U-turn back on God.
Is the helicopter still 10-12?
On the ground, we have officers at gunpoint.
The driver, identified as Leas MacArthur Corker Jr., was eventually captured after an intense pursuit across several miles. Corker, a career offender with a revoked license, faced multiple charges including aggravated fleeing with injury or damage, reckless driving, and driving while license permanently revoked. July 10, 2025 started like any other late morning on SR 408 until a flash of gray caught a trooper's eye. That Mercedes GLC was not just moving fast, it was eating up pavement at a rate that made every other car on the road look like it was parked. Behind the wheel sat a driver who clearly had no intention of slowing down for anyone. The trooper moved in to make the stop, but what came next turned a routine traffic stop into a full-throttle showdown.
704 at Pine Hill.
All right, get ready for phone.
54 if you can.
Hold on, Mario. Hold on. Hold me, stop.
The driver, identified as 33-year-old Darius Demetrius Lowe, made one last attempt to escape on foot, but that sprint ended in handcuffs. Lowe, already on inmate release for a previous fleeing case, was found with 27 fentanyl pills, nearly $4,000 in cash and marijuana inside the Mercedes. His bid for freedom not only failed, it stacked up a fresh list of charges that will keep him off the road for a long while. Some drivers run thinking they can win. Lowe just learned the hard way that the odds are never in their favor. The sun was still up in Tallahassee on November 5th, 2024, but that didn't stop things from going dark fast. A stolen blue Mitsubishi shot out from Richview Road like it had demons at the bumper crossing into Appalachie Parkway, with zero interest in stopping. Behind the wheel was a man with no plan, just pedal. And right behind him, Florida Highway Patrol was bearing down. One trooper locked in and made the silent promise this chase would end on his terms.
Better stop.
Turns out the man behind the wheel was Antoine Jones, and he wasn't going anywhere after that. Officers placed him in handcuffs and transported him to the hospital for a quick check before booking him into Leon County Jail. Jones was charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle and fleeing and eluding. Let this one be a reminder if you're trying to outrun a trooper who already has you in their sights. The only thing you'll be speeding toward is a jail cell. On the evening of October 8th, 2022, Arkansas State Police locked onto a speeding Honda Civic, barreling down the interstate at more than 130 miles per hour. As traffic thinned, the driver's reckless escape attempt escalated into a full pursuit that left no room for error.
Keep them up!
Moments later, the Civic lost control and tumbled violently down the highway after a pirouette maneuver. Emergency responders rushed to the scene and the driver was hospitalized with serious injuries but survived. Charges for felony fleeing and reckless endangerment were filed as troopers cleared the wreckage from the highway. A tense Halloween night unfolded on October 31st, 2025, along Interstate 55 when a Toyota Corolla blasted past mile marker 34 at more than 100 miles per hour.
TBI. He's on the service road now.
On the service road.
He stopped. Felony takedown.
Felony takedown.
In the end, the driver, later identified as Archie Boyd, fled and hid in knee-high water before troopers located him and took him into custody. Boyd now faces felony fleeing, theft by receiving criminal mischief, possession of controlled substances, and more. On January 8, 2021, a Georgia state trooper noticed a minivan slipping quietly out of a convenience store lot without taillights or a tag. At first glance, it seemed like a routine traffic stop, a small issue on a quiet night. But the moment those blue lights flicked on, the driver made a decision that would flip his world upside down literally. What began in a parking lot soon turned into a desperate flight through Milledgeville's streets.
Pulling.
Boy, so you're coming up on this back road.
We're at Hancock, and we are making a left on the Hancock. Headed out 22 towards Sparta. It looks like it's one occupant, just the driver.
We're clear, there's one.
Milledgeville, pit, rollover, pit, rollover, pit, rollover. Need EMS en route, River Bridge.
In the end, passenger Rihanna Herron was pulled from the wreck and rushed to a hospital with injuries, while the driver, later identified as Forrest Trees, vanished into the woods. Investigators soon uncovered drugs and paraphernalia inside the hotel room tied to both suspects. Warrants were issued, and the truth about their night began to unfold piece by piece. For a man running from his past, this was one turn he would never recover from. It was just past 9 p.m. on June 9, 2023, when Cadet A. Benjamin and his training officer spotted something off. A gray Ford Escape wasn't just speeding, it was swerving like the driver had one hand on the wheel and zero interest in the rules. A quick radar check confirmed it was clocking nearly 20 miles over the posted limit. The patrol car flipped around and lit up, but that was all the invitation the driver needed to bolt into the night. After nearly overshooting a turn and flying off the road, the suspect somehow muscled the vehicle back onto the street. But the escape plan didn't account for what was coming next.
Get up there. Oh! Right. Go. You got it. Stop. Oh, don't hit the curb. Hit him. Hit him. Try and hit him before he gets back to that thing. Right here. Hit him. Get out. What is the car right behind us? Bring it. Overturn. 1050. Stop. See us! Put your hands out the window! Put your hands out the window now!
After flipping across lanes and slamming into a guardrail, Yolanda Irvine, the driver, was pulled from the wreck with alcohol on her breath and drama on standby. At the hospital, she lied about being pregnant, refused to cooperate, and treated the floor like a stage for her meltdown. But none of it changed the outcome. Her night ended the way it always would, in handcuffs headed for jail. The night of January 17, 2025 was bitter and still across Oneida County, Wisconsin. Deputy Michael Beedish pulled into a quiet gas station where a black BMW caught his eye. A simple check revealed the driver, 28-year-old Matthew Johnson, was driving on a revoked license. Beedish followed the BMW north on Highway 47, unaware the driver was seconds away from making his last decision. Emergency crews fought to save Johnson, but it was too late. The 28-year-old driver died on impact. The innocent motorist he struck survived with serious injuries, but lived to tell the story. Investigators confirmed Deputy Michael Beedish had followed policy, and no charges were filed against him. A revoked license turned into a death sentence that night, written at 120 miles per hour. On December 1st, 2023, along Interstate 49 in Arkansas, a trooper's calm evening of traffic enforcement erupted into chaos when a gray Toyota Camry refused to comply. The driver's behavior shifted from defiance.
I'm at 70.
It's on the right shoulder. Bridge, he's bailed out at the bridge.
Well, do you have a clothing description?
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
The pursuit came to an end when the suspect crashed on a bridge and fled on foot, only to be caught moments later near a creek. Identified as 44-year-old Sean Packizer, he faced a long list of charges. Despite his reckless run, no lives were lost, a fortunate outcome in a chase that easily could have ended in tragedy. On April 18, 2023, troopers in Escambia County, Florida found themselves in pursuit of a driver who refused to stop. What started as a standard traffic enforcement call turned into a high-speed pursuit filled with close calls and reckless maneuvers. As the chase reached its peak, officers had to rely on every tactic available to bring it safely to an end. The suspect's attempt to flee ended in a violent crash, followed by a brief foot pursuit before being captured with the help of a canine unit. He now faces charges including fleeing and eluding, resisting arrest, and more. Each chase like this serves as a reminder that running from the Florida Highway Patrol never ends in freedom. It only makes things worse. Saturday, August 6th, 2022, a deputy from Forsyth County spots a silver Ford Fusion cruising south on Georgia 400. The car matches a bolo from Dawson County, 4 women suspected of shoplifting. The deputy hits the lights expecting a routine stop, but the quiet moment on the shoulder turns deceptive, and when the PA orders go ignored, the Fusion suddenly bolts.
10 on your left.
Let Dawson know I have him stopped. We're southbound is 413. So occupied 4 times. Driver, get out of the car.
All 4 women, Bernaldia Stevens, Deshauna Hurd, Jasmine Canty, and Marquita Thomas, were eventually arrested after a clean pit maneuver brought the chase to an end. Stevens faced reckless driving, fleeing or attempting to elude, and possession of marijuana. Thomas was charged with forgery in the 2nd degree, and the others were handed over on their own warrants. What began as petty theft ended in flashing blue lights and lost freedom. Just before noon on December 14th, 2023, Michigan State Police responded to a frantic 911 call describing a blue Chevrolet Silverado that had allegedly forced another driver off the road in Flint.
Good on the right so far. Good, good, good. Good.
Copy.
10 slope, we're westbound Court Street. Westbound Court Street from Broadway. Northbound Mansfield, no reason to be here. Location. Yep. 3542 is the location. Yep. Correct, River Teacher, going northbound, looks like northbound Crestwood.
Hey, police, stop! You're gonna get shot! Right there, right there! Hey, police, show us your hands! You're gonna get shot! Stop! Stop running! Stop! Right here. Get on the ground! On the ground!
In the early morning of February 20th, 2024, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper in Nassau County spotted a blue Chevrolet truck flagged as stolen out of Jacksonville. The driver accelerated instead of stopping, turning the sighting into a multi-county pursuit.
Jeff, I'm gonna bid him again. Coming up on the sticks now. Make sure it's police lodge. Good hit, good hit, good hit. Well, in that lane. Just a heads up, I can't see on my left mirror there. Tires separated. Successful hit again, just south of that.
After spike strips successfully disabled the truck, the driver and his female passenger were taken into custody without further incident. During the post-arrest interview, the suspect offered to become an informant in exchange for leniency, a move that officers declined. He now faces charges including grand theft auto and fleeing to elude.